All right, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on the part of the world you're watching this review from. As you know, it's your host, Bevel King, and we are here again to review the British pounds American dollar for the 40th week in the year 2024, which simply means that we have about 12 more weeks to complete the review for the year 2024. How has the review been for you? Hope it has been beneficial to you and it has been helpful in your growth forex wise. All right. Okay. So before we go in, I like to speak a little bit on my faith, my belief, and try to apply it to forex trading, right? And I personally, I've concluded my major expenses for the year, paid school fees, paid this, paid that. Right now, I'm in a chill zone, right? And it reminded me of something in the Bible. Before greatness occurs, there's usually an isolation moment, right? So, for example, before Moses could go back to Israel, to Egypt, to deliver the Israelites, he had an isolation moment where he had the run with the talking burning bush. Um, Before the Israelites could acquire the land of Canaan, they had their wilderness moment. When Daniel was going through a lot of pressure, right? He had the 21 days that he had to fast. And even Jesus Christ, our Lord, before he started moving around, speaking about his core function on earth, he had a wilderness moment where he fasted and prayed for about 30 days before the devil tempted him. Now, how does this relate to trading and our lives personally? Most of the time, we are busy with the ups and downs of life, and we don't take moments to actually retract into our wilderness moments where we sit down and look at our lives and see if we are moving in accordance with what God wants us to achieve, our goals, our missions. Sit down and review, look at how far you've done, how well you've come, what you need to adjust, and things like that. People don't do that anymore because we're carried away with the normal hustle and bustle. And then you find out that 10 years has gone by without a good memory of what actually transpired. We're just like lab rats running a, a hoop, you know. So, in order to overcome that, I think there is a period when a man has to go in, do some form of retreat, sit down, think about his life, think about the things he wants to achieve, think about the things he needs to do so that he can realign himself, readjust himself, remotivate himself, and propel forward. You know, even organizations have what they call business retreats, which is a period when management staffs will gather and sit down and say, okay, are we moving in line with our direction? Are there some things we need to achieve? Are there some goals we can't achieve anymore? Let's review and do it right. Okay. Now, for traders, right? Traders like you and I, we wake up every morning, we sit down, we trade, we do that. You get, and we just run that cycle like every day, every week. Have you sat down and said, okay, let me take some time out? I've learned this strategy. This strategy is not really working as I've expected it to. Can I just sit down, do review, do back testing, you know, let me test it and see how it works and things like that. There is a need to put things like that into action as well. For example, next year is coming. Before you start trading next year, you need to take out some time, maybe a week or 2 weeks, to sit down and go and watch the videos that you've recorded over the years. Go and watch your training videos. Go and watch your mentor's videos. Go and speak to your mentor. Go and review your journal. Go and backtest your strategy and say, okay, is it going to work for this year? And then you know that, okay, in the process of doing that, you can say, okay, these are the goals I'm setting for next year, 2025. This is my mission. These are the projects I want to work on. And then from there, you build, right? Nobody builds greatness accidentally. All right. So, that being said, let's go into the chart to look at what we're going to be doing for this new week, the 40th week in the month, in the year 2024, right? I no longer even look at the, what's it called, the months anymore, because I just count weeks and I'm looking at 2024, right? So at the beginning of the year, I marked this roadmap here. This was December, and I said that we had a rising wedge on daily time frame. I was expecting the market to drop into the zone, which the market did sometimes around April. And then from here, I said the market was going to come into the zone. And then from here, we may expect the market to do a major drop down to the zone, right? So this was my expectation. As of now, my expectation is still valid, but given the new situations of things, I may not see the market come down to this point. But let's see how the market plays out. For now, it's still playing out in line with my expectation. What I'm going to try to do is, I'm not going to do this weekly review next year. I don't intend doing it next year because it takes a lot to do it every week, right? But I'll see what I can do for next year, and I'll let you know. It's part of my retreat moment. When I sit down and think about it, has this helped me? Has this helped people? Has this met the intended purpose? If it has, do I want to continue or not? Ask myself questions. So whatever I decide, whatever my head, my spirit, my body decides, I'll let you guys know by the end of the year when we're done with this project. But this project was meant to run for 52 weeks, and right now we are in week 40. Okay, so right now the price is here, and if you notice, we had a bearish pullback and a doji before this bullish candle. This is the weekly time frame. Now I'm reading it candle by candlestick, right? So that you'd understand the concept of candlestick structure. Now, because we have this here, this is like a morning star and engulfing candlestick, which means that it is the beginning of a bullish run, right? And after this, last week we had a bullish candle, although we had some selling pressure on Friday, right? Now, if you look a bit to the left, right, if I've told you before, other blocks, breaker blocks are areas of expectation. You will notice that we have an order block up here on the weekly time frame, which is my expected point of interest here. And look at the distance. It really doesn't take too much for this price to run into the zone. So I personally, I'm anticipating that this price, this new week that we're going into, would run into the zone. Now, the fact that I'm expecting it to run into the zone does not mean that it cannot come down to close this gap before doing what? Running into the zone. But we are almost at the end, right? Now, a healthy move would be, for example, we had this pullback, we had this pullback, we had this pullback. If we have this and we have a pullback, as I've marked to this point, it's actually a healthy bullish move, right? With proper pullbacks. So we may have the market run into the zone, but we may have a pullback before the market does that. Now, if I see a flip like this, then I know that the market is doing what? Coming down. Okay. So this is my expectation around here. But this may not play out instantly because this is the weekly time frame. All right. Now let's go to daily time frame, right? On the daily time frame, this was the chart I gave as far back as March, right? Now that's the good thing about trading on the daily time frame. It's easy to map and hold. And I did mention that we had a break here and that the market should run into the zone, right? So this is my expectation. I'm expecting the market to run into the zone, right? Uh, so right now, what we had here, we have an order block here on the daily time frame. If you move further to the left, um, so we had the market push up, we had a bearish candlestick, we had a bullish engulfing candlestick. Now, what this candlestick is simply saying is we had the bulls push the market up, the bears pushed it down on Wednesday. On Thursday, the bulls pushed the market with the equal or even a higher momentum than the bears that pushed it down on Tuesday, right? On Wednesday. So this Wednesday, this Thursday. Then Friday, we had the small pullback, right? We had the small pullback. So what am I expecting here, right? One thing about railroad track that everybody knows is it's more of a range, meaning equal highs, equal lows, right? But because this trend is bullish, I am, and this is a pullback, this is a push. I'm anticipating that we're going to continue this bullish push up into this zone here, right? Meaning that the bulls are not ready to come back yet. That is my speculation, that is my expectation. So right here we have a railroad track, pushed it down, came back up. It's like this. Let me explain this with a chart. Came here, then this pushed it down, then this pushed it up immediately, showing that okay, I'm not ready to go down, and now the price is currently here. So we may just have the market run up into the zone before we see any major moves. Okay, now on the 4-hour time frame, this was what I marked for you. I said we might see a pullback, then if we see a flip, we'll take a trade down here. However, if we don't see a flip, we'll see the market run up here, right? Now, here's my little problem with this move, right? Let me delete this and delete this. Okay, so if you notice, the other block that was marked here and the other block that was here, if you go and check the previous videos, the market simply tapped the OB and rejected it. Here the market tapped the OB, gave a double bottom and started pushing up. Now in this case, what we had was what? We had the market tap out of this OB, right? But it didn't close above, like a body didn't close. So what I simply mean was this candlestick came out, the next candlestick brought it back inside. If it's that this candlestick closed out and then this candlestick now closed outside this other block, then we'll say the other block is broken. So it's technically not broken, right? Although some people will argue that it's broken. And then what happened? The market pushed down. Now the down that the market pushed to, this was the last low, this was the last high. It didn't create a lower low, right? So the bullish structure is still intact on the 4-hour time frame. Now what now happened afterwards? The market now tapped this high twice, meaning that the market came up here, came down here, tapped up here, came down here, and the bulls have pushed it up. Now notice this, the energy that the bears used to push it down the first time, the bulls used to take it back up. Then the bears tried to take it down again and the bulls pushed it back up. So you can see there is a struggle between the bears and the bulls here, right? Now why am I showing you this? I'm simply showing you this because you have a bit of a range right here, right? You have a bit of a range right here. Now the important thing about this is simple. You want to see this market break and close above this level before you can continue your buy into the zone, right? But if the market should break below this level, and particularly, let me delete this, and particularly below this level, I'll prefer it to break below this level, because at that point you have a high. All this move here is in between this low and this high, as far as I'm concerned, right? So you want to see something like this. Either the market breaks below, then you can expect the market to run up. Then when it comes up, you can now expect maybe a flip, and you know that okay, the market wants to continue going down. Or from here, right, maybe somewhere here, you could see the market break above, pull back, and then smoothly move into the zone while continuing the bullish trend before we would be expecting a flip. Okay, so you know, uh if I'm going to explain this move using a race, it's just like when we used to run 400 meters back in the days. When you're putting in the race and you're almost at the finish line, you get tired, right? So I feel like the price is tired, and that's the reason why the bears are still trying to take over. But I don't think the bulls are done yet, so I'm expecting the market to come into the zone which I showed you on the weekly time frame. All right, so till next week, remain safe, remain blessed. Remember what I spoke about earlier. You need to take some time out to review and think about the things you want to do, and then pick up from there. Okay? Till next week, I remain your host, Bearable King. Remain profitable and remain blessed. Bye bye.